across along the year.
They're legendary. Great. All those in favor? Good.
Great. The next item is an internal audit corrective action plan. School districts are required to have internal audits. We have our first one completed with Naraki Smith, which was the firm that we had gone out to get some firms to respond to an RFP we had issued. Naraki Smith was the winning firm, and they've completed their first risk assessment plan. That plan was provided to the Board of Education, and what we've done is we've put forth the corrective action plan from that initial risk assessment, and that is what item I is, and I'm asking for the board to accept that audit report as well as the corrective action plan that I've attached.
Great. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Great.
Great. The last audit that we've gone through recently is the State Controller's audit of our energy performance contract. If you remember, about a month or so ago, actually in May, we had the board approve the corrective action plan for that individual report. The intent of that audit was to be a group report. There were 5 districts that were audited for this energy performance contract program that each of us went through. The individual reports were issued in April. We accepted our corrective action plan in May, and then now the group report was issued. Essentially, it's the same corrective action plan. One of the 2 items noted did not have anything to do with us. It had to do with another district, so I've noted that in one of the items as a response. And the other item, I indicated what was the action plan from the last report that we had responded to, because it is the same action, which is simply that we review the assessments that are done diligently. So I'm asking that the board accept the corrective action plan for the group State Controller's audit report that was issued, which is still in draft form, so I still cannot provide it publicly.
Great. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Great.
Great, thank you. Item K indicates all of our insurance policies for the 15-16 school year, and I'll just indicate what each of those is. Omni 403B is the service agreement for a third-party administrator for our 403B provision for our employees. Excess workers' compensation is essentially an umbrella plan we have in place, which limits the workers' compensation liability we have. We have a self-funded plan. This is the umbrella on top of that that protects us to a certain level. The group term life and long-term disability are contractual provisions that we have with certain firms. We have it with Mutual of Omaha for this upcoming school year to provide those 2 contractual benefits. Self-insured workers' comp third-party administrator, just mentioned we have the umbrella policy for the excess coverage. We also have the base policy, which we pay dollar for dollar. We're self-insured, but we have an administrator who manages that program alongside of us. So that's the self-funded workers' compensation third-party administrator arrangement. We have the renewal of the third-party administrator agreement for our dental plan, which is for a very finite group of retired administrators. We have that with JJ Stannis. They're also maintaining their rates at the same amount as prior year. We have a company we work with called Corporate Cost Control to help to mitigate our unemployment claims. So that contract is the next one. Student accident insurance, we're not required to have that legally, but we do provide that as a way to mitigate the number of lawsuits that we receive based on student accidents. We've actually been able to negotiate a lower rate with a new vendor this year, which I'm very happy about. Volunteer accident insurance is an additional insurance. It's a very small cost policy, but it covers us for certain gaps that it makes sense for us to have it based on volunteers who are working on behalf of the district. And then we have our NYSER policies. NYSER maintains New York Schools Insurance Reciprocal, is an organization that I'm on the board for. It's a reciprocal arrangement. School districts own the company, and we insure each other collectively through this reciprocal. We actually have a reduction in our rates for improved coverage. So that was an absolute win as well this year. So very happy about all of that. So for item K, I'm requesting that those policies be adopted by the board, and then you allow me to sign off on whatever arrangements, contracts, or paperwork needs to be signed off on.
Great. Do we have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Great. And my final item for tonight is actually something that's always on our July reorganization meeting. It is in reference to the June 30, 2016 potential surplus we may have on the expenditure side or on the revenue side. What this resolution allows us to do is to additionally fund reserves based on what the balances may be, the surplus may be at the end of this fiscal year. We put it on for the July reorg meeting because we're in the correct school year to do that, and also because some districts have a history of forgetting to do it and then you're not able to fund your reserves. So it's important to keep it on a very routine schedule, which is what we've done here. So that is for essentially end of year balances as of June 30, 2016.
Motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, there was one item that we, that I missed, so that's the Board of Education minutes for June 8th of 2015. So I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions?
Yeah, I believe that the minutes are accurate as far as what was said with regard to the executive session section of the proposed minutes, but while they've been transcribed essentially accurately, I don't believe the content is accurate. I'd like to see that fixed.
Do you have a proposal as to how you'd like that to be fixed?
I'd like it to say exactly what the topics were from executive session.
So can you please provide Roseanne with what you would like it to say?
I'd like it to match exactly what was discussed in executive session.
Okay.
I sent you an entire email, you're well aware of it.
Of those specific items?
Sent you an email about why I believe executive session needs to be communicated properly to the public. This indicates one item. I don't.
We have a copy of the agenda, we can,
Okay.
I'll work with Kelly.
Thank you.
Okay. So then we should hold off on approving these minutes until they are prepared and reviewed by all. Okay.
Mrs. Vitaliano.
Thank you, Mrs. Fallon. For the board's approval this evening, I have recommendations from the Preschool Committee of Special Education.
Great. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Thank you.
Mr. O'Farrell.
Thank you, Mrs. Fallon. This evening I have several items for the board's consideration. The first item is a list of recommendations made by the Committee for Special Education.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
And next we have 11 individual consultant contracts. I can read them individually or take them as a whole.
I think it would, I'd like to ask for a motion to take them in their entirety. Would you mind reading them just
Sure.
so that we're aware?
Sure. We have the first contract is with the Anderson Center for Autism. And we have Brookville Center for Children's Services, the Helping Hands Children's Services, Metro Therapy, Milestones in Home Care Incorporated, Orchestai Farm, Peter Brennan, DBA Brennan Hall Business Management, the Charlton School, the Hagdorn Little Village School, UCP, the United Cerebral Palsy of Suffolk, and the Woodward Children's Center.
Great. Do we have a motion to take to approve all those in their entirety?
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Great. Now, motion to approve all of those. Motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Great. Great. Next, Board of Education policies.
This evening we have two policies for second readings. We had first readings on June 8th. Both came as a recommendation from the New York State School Boards Association. The first policy is Policy 5150 on school admissions. It's amended regulations of the Commissioner. Changes include providing a definition of residence and addressing homeless students by cross-referencing Policy 5151. And the second policy is Policy 5280, interscholastic athletics. New York State School Boards revised the policy on interscholastic athletics to include the New York State Department of Education update to the athletic placement process, which we historically have known as selective classification. You remember 3 months ago, we did a first and then a second reading of that new policy. School board's now updated the athletics to link those two, so they're both second readings.
Great.
We can make a motion to waive the literal reading, or I could read them.
Motion.
Good.
We have a second, good. All those in favor of waiving the literal reading? Great. We have one abstention.
I oppose.
You oppose? Okay. Okay.
Opposed to waive the literal reading?
And next is a motion to adopt policies 5150 and policy 5280.
Do we have a motion to adopt?
Motion?
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Great. So these will be posted on the website with all the other policies
The
updated
policy
as
section,
appropriate.
correct.
So the public will have access to the policies.
Well, they have access to them now. They're posted on the website this
You
morning.
didn't get a final vote, you got
I'm sorry.
4, but you didn't get against or abstention.
Okay, I'm sorry, yeah. Were there, so we had 6
This
for,
vote was to adopt that policy?
yes.
Yes, I vote for it.
Oh, okay. That's the only vote I didn't see.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Oh, okay, so it was 7, it was unanimous.
So, all, yes.
Everybody voted to adopt.
Yes.
They're
Yes.
posted with the agenda for both the first and the second reading, and then once they are formally approved, they go to New York School Boards Association and they format them for the e-policy section of the website.
Okay, great. So the public's had access to them for all, throughout the entire
Since
process?
June.
Since June, okay, great. And then the adjournment, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion. Second?
Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Have a great evening, everyone.